marketplace.org. The Marketplace Morning Report is up next on 91.5 WBEZ.
Many of President Trump's tariffs are in legal limbo, but many are not.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Bitwarden Password Manager. Bitwarden is designed to offer password security from any device at any location, securing both sensitive business information and personal accounts. Learn more at bitwarden.com.
From Marketplace, I'm Sabri Benishore in for David Brancaccio. Just before the Labor Day weekend, a federal appeals court struck down many of the Trump administration's tariffs. The decision is on hold until mid-October, giving the White House time to appeal to the Supreme Court. For now, the ruling throws into limbo many of Trump's tariffs. Many, but not all. Marketplace's Nova Safo has more.
The U.S. Court of Appeals for the Federal Circuit said the president lacked authority to impose his own import taxes at will, bypassing Congress. The ruling has to do with the use of a tool President Trump has relied on the most, the International Emergency Economic Powers Act of 1977. The administration claims it gives the president the power to set what he's called reciprocal tariffs imposed on almost all countries. Trump also used the law to impose higher taxes, purportedly in an effort to combat fentanyl trafficking, on goods from China and a portion of the imports from Canada and Mexico. The fate of those tariffs are now up in the air. The president has other tariff-imposing authorities, and he used those more limited and slower methods to impose higher taxes on imported steel, aluminum, and automobiles. Those actions are not affected by the appeals court ruling. I'm Nova Safo for Marketplace.
Later this morning, we're going to get some data on how American farmers are feeling. Purdue's Farmer Sentiment Index is where we find that. In July, President Trump's trade war was weighing on them. It's been harder to sell some crops overseas. Sales of soybeans, for example, to China have plunged to just about zero. The administration wants to get Chinese sales back, but it's also looking for new markets, which brings us to the law of unintended consequences. Marketplace's Savannah Peters has more.
In Cullum, North Dakota, soybean farmers are gearing up for the fall harvest, including Josh Gackle.
The crop looks good right now. We just need someplace to sell it.
Gackle, who also chairs the American Soybean Association, says some of the world's biggest markets for U.S. soy aren't buying this year.
If the exporters have no market, it trickles down to the local grain elevators and the railroads here in North Dakota, South Dakota, Minnesota, elsewhere.
Last month on social media, President Trump called on China to quadruple its purchases of American soy. His administration also wants countries like Vietnam and Thailand to commit to purchasing more U.S. farm commodities as part of tariff negotiations. Arlen Suderman, a commodities economist with StoneX, says even if fresh tariff deals help American crops compete in overseas markets,
if we were able to capture business with a target country, and they were buying from somebody else,
like Brazil or Argentina, which have ramped up production during the trade war,
then that means that somebody else has excess supplies.
Suderman says that could drive down the global price of commodities like wheat and soybeans, which isn't good for American farmers either. I'm Savannah Peters for Marketplace.
All right, let's do the numbers. Dow, S&P, and NASDAQ futures are very down. The Dow futures are down 350 points. S&P futures down 1%. NASDAQ futures down 1.4%. The yield on the 10-year Treasury is 4.3%. And the price of gold has hit an all-time high. An ounce of this stuff is now worth more than $3,500. Gold usually does well when there's a lot of economic uncertainty out there, and it is up 32% so far this year.
Marketplace Morning Report is supported by Yubico, makers of the YubiKey, protecting the applications and accounts that people and businesses rely on every day. YubiKey helps stop phishing attempts and hackers. YubiKey, still undefeated, the original passkey. More at yubico.com. And by Viking, exploring the world in comfort. With a fleet of small ships, Viking offers travel experiences for the thinking person. Discover more at Viking.com.
The big budget bill that Congress recently passed, well, it included major changes to how much graduate students and the parents of undergrads can borrow from the federal government to pay for school. These changes go into effect next year. Marketplace's Samantha Fields has more.
If you're starting school this fall, or your kid is, nothing is changing for you. But if you're applying to start next year, it's going to be very different. Parents who plan to help their kids pay for college and prospective graduate students will be limited in how much they can borrow from the federal government.
It was always important for families to plan for the entire college career. As far as funding goes, now it's even more important that they do that.
Betsy Mayotte at the nonprofit The Institute of Student Loan Advisors says anyone who's already enrolled this fall is grandfathered into the current rules for the next few years, so no limits on borrowing. But starting next fall, new graduate students will only be able to take out $100,000 total. Anyone going to medical or law school will be limited to $200,000, and parents will be capped at $65,000 per kid.
You need to calculate how much you think you're going to need to borrow for your entire degree program and make sure there's going to be enough funding availability.
Because Mayotte says if you hit your federal student loan limit in the first year or two of a 3 or 4 year program, your only option will be private loans. And private loans do not offer income-based repayment options or any path to loan forgiveness the way federal loans do. Plus, Jane Fox, chair of the Legal Aid Society Attorneys Chapter at UAW, says not everyone will be able to qualify for them.
There might be a whole group of students who get caught in the middle of that, where they were able to finance the first year of their education, but they cannot complete their degree. And then what do you do?
Data shows the people who are most likely to default on their student loans are those who have debt but no degree. Fox says the new limits on federal student loans are likely to prevent many people from going to the school of their choice or getting a degree at all.
If you were thinking of going to law school, medical school, graduate school, and you sit down with a financial aid officer to really plan out how can I afford this, and you see the cost of it and the caps on federal borrowing, it is absolutely going to deter working class students from entering those professions.
Some degrees cost more than students will soon be able to borrow from the federal government, like medical school. Over half of med students who graduated last year took out more than $200,000. Nearly a quarter took out more than $300,000. Starting next fall, that will no longer be an option. I'm Samantha Fields for Marketplace.
And in New York, I'm Sabri Benishore with the Marketplace Morning Report. From APM, American Public Media.